All right, I think we have everybody back. So what I'd love to do is use the chat box. So let's start with this first question on the screen here. If you would drop something in the chat box answering, what'd you learn from your partner or partners if you were in a 3-person room?
We're working on. I don't know. I feel like I want to be specific, but I don't know what way.
So think about the whole conversation. What did you learn from having that conversation about this model with your partner? All right, here we go. Shared leadership experiences in the clubs we run. Yep. Leadership is definitely different for everyone. That is correct. What else do we have? Yep, another one of our experiences are different. Yes, experiences working with groups can be difficult when emotions or conflict come into play. Very, very true. I actually find that the root of most conflicts is values. Like one side of the conflict, they're valuing something is very important. The other side is not valuing it. They're valuing something different. And so then that does increase those emotions for sure. Would love to see a couple more responses. What did you learn from talking to your partner? If you'd like to unmic and maybe just verbally do it instead of typing it, that's okay too. Thank you, Michelle. I'd love it if somebody would talk a little bit about like, what are you seeing is different about leading? Is it based on like personality type? Is it how you were taught about leadership from your family or maybe from pre-college experience? What are some of the factors that come into play to realizing it's different from everybody?
I guess was just trying to say like everyone has different experience in leading, and obviously there's different types of ways that people lead. Like for example, me, I used to lead at my other job, just like helping everybody make sure like they were doing what they're doing. And it's different than leading, I guess, like a classroom or I don't know, like an event. So
So
yeah.
it sounds like context is important, the
Yeah.
location and the context of the group. Yeah, that's very, very true. Well, let's move on to that next question. What did you realize about yourself as you were talking about leadership? Sometimes as I'm saying what's, swirling in my head, I have an epiphany about myself like, oh, I didn't realize I thought that, or that this impacted me so much. So what did you realize about yourself? And we can again use the chat or you can unmute.
For me, I run Asian Student Association, and so whenever it comes to leading officer meetings and general meetings, there are so many things that had happened that I learned so much, not only about myself but other peers. I get to pick up their leadership style, even though they don't admit or acknowledge it, and I like to address and acknowledge that I appreciate them, for instance, taking initiative. Maybe within the member, I noticed them helping out. Hey, I can help you with timekeeping for this game. And that is something that we bring closeness with our members. And I'm more, as a leader, I'm more of, I take the lead, but I like to have others contribute by calling names, or by sticking with what I know they can talk about. So I understand where the others are coming from, and I have an idea what their skills are. So I tailored whatever topic or skills that I like to address to them.
Judy, I think that's a great thing to share, because, you know, a whole other workshop is really talking about how do you take your type and maybe hold that back and communicate to your members in the way they hear things. So like as an extrovert, I'm very talkative. But when I'm working in a group as a leader with introverts who maybe need time to reflect and think about what they're doing, I'm going to be a more effective leader when I not just, you know, bombard with questions, but maybe give time for people to go and talk separately or reflect separately. You know, asking you to unmute or use the chat box is a way to attend that people think differently. So being responsive to people are different does help them bloom themselves as a leader, and you're mentoring others. So that was a great answer. Thank you. Well, the last question is a thought question. We're not going to respond to it, but I want you to really think about those kind of 8C areas. What do I want to really focus on developing? Do I want to work on collaboration? Do I want to work on really understanding my values, so that congruence piece? Or is it more understanding more about the society and what kind of citizen I am? So I want you to find one of those 8Cs that you're like, I'm going to think about this for the rest of the spring, and maybe do some learning in that area. Okay, so at this point, I'd love for us to go over to Menti. So if you would pull out your phones if you have one, or if you're on your laptop and you want to open a tab to menti.com, menti.com. I'm going to pull up a little interactive survey for us. And if you haven't used Menti before, it's a lot of fun. I'll have questions on the screen. And then you all will get to answer on your phone, and we'll kind of talk about those answers. So let me pull this up here, get it in the presenter mode, and share again. All right, is there anybody who can't multitask and do this Menti thing? I want to make sure that everybody can participate if possible. So again, it's menti.com. And when you get there, I want to advance the slide. Why is it not letting me do it? Hold on a second here, y'all. Okay, can you guys see the Menti?
Some of us are on our phones, so we're unable to also play. I just switched back to my phone.
Okay.
And when you're done with your presentation, if you can make Aldo the host, we have a few announcements to go over before we end.
I can do that. Hold on a second here. I've got my Menti is being weird. Okay, let's go to slide 2, present, and then let me share and see if I can get y'all in here. Okay, can you guys see this question now?
Yes.
Okay, so if you are able to play along, that'd be great. We'll just talk about the responses for the folks who can. So once you're on menti.com, it'll give you a place to type a code. So our code is in the upper right. It's 52875240. And once you type that in, this question is going to pop up on your phone or on your laptop if you have another screen open. And you should be able to type in a response to this. And they're going to come up on the slide on the screen for everybody to see as you answer. So anyone who's able to do it, let's see how many folks we can get a response to. So the question is, a socially responsible leader feels responsible for others on their team. What do you feel responsible for as a student staff member in CII?
If we cannot participate, are we able to like chime in
Sure.
verbally or on the chat?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The chat won't necessarily work for me because I can't see it when I'm using Menti. So you could verbally share, and those of you that can participate, if you'll type your answer in, it'll pop on the screen for everybody to see. So if you want to verbally answer, go ahead and do that now. Great. Ensuring that I give my best work and efforts. My job tasks and getting the work completed. Making sure that everyone is satisfied. Yeah, that's a good one. You guys are a service office. Making sure peers are thriving. That's an excellent one. Yep. Checking in on each other and discussing duties and tasks. Yeah, sometimes you guys get assignments, I'm sure, at work, and then you realize, ooh, could I do that one instead? And your supervisor doesn't care. And when you check in, you can figure those things out. Giving people positive mindset for my coworkers to be inspired of doing what they like to do in their position as a student staff member. Excellent. Is anybody who wants to chime in verbally? Oh, here we go. Keeping an open mind and understanding others. And then ensuring the well-being of students. I feel as a team, we're responsible for making sure that students of all backgrounds and identities are included and represented. Excellent. Okay, I am going to roll on to our next question. Okay. Minty is going to give me a fit today. All right, next question. Here we go. So I'd like for you to name 3 things that need to change at CU Denver to better serve our students. So this is an opinion question. What 3 things do you think need to change at our university?
Diversity.
Okay, yep. Continuing to expand that, yeah.
Where to begin? Where to begin? I would definitely say that making ethnic studies a department and making foundations of ethnic studies a requirement for all students at our university would definitely help, you know, pursue those ideals that the university is striving for 2030 and future years. But moving beyond these conversations and putting actions into motion, because the affected parties, excuse me, have been having these conversations for years and years and years and all their time here at the university, but the action has really been static. So moving beyond that is something that would definitely improve the experience of not only our students, but our staff and faculty as well.
Aja, have you participated in the Student Success Strategic Plan survey that's come out? Because I think that's a great idea to put in that survey. And the more people who put that kind of idea in there, if they start seeing more mention of it, they might actually talk about it. I know there's a lot of controversy with, you know, the freedom of setting your own curriculum, but I think if we are all chiming in on that, there is the ability to have that conversation. I've always wanted people to have a diversity class, a freshman seminar, and a senior seminar, and a civics class in college. There are lots of things I think would be nice to add back in.
Yeah, no. So I was actually one of the co-leads for the environment team for the equity task force.
Okay.
And that project is kind of over now because the action teams have submitted their reports and everything. But I've included my opinions and evidence and everything in those action team reports. So excellent. I have contributed.
Good, good, good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so on our screen, we've had 5 people answer so far. So some of the things that need to change. Outreach, marketing, clubs, student outreach, community building, stronger community, faculty and staff of color, absolutely. Competitiveness, diverse curriculum, equity and justice, inclusion, professors, student inclusion, and environment. Okay, so let's, I'll see if I can actually get this thing to work. Nope, hold on a second. I think I have too many things open on my computer today. Come on, Minty. Next question is really dialing down and looking at CII. So this one is another one where you're going to type in and it'll do the speech bubbles. So this one is, what changes would you like to see in CII to better serve students? So again, thinking of the change you want to create, the middle of that leadership model bubble.
This is for CII.
Yep. The question is, what change would you like to see in CII to better serve students? So it's going from, we just talked about big picture of the university. Now we're going down another layer to your department.
I would take out the departments and make it one as whole so that everyone is able to serve every identity.
I don't think that can necessarily hurt. It would just broaden everybody's reach and touch for all the students that come through the door. I like that. I hadn't really thought of that. All right, our first response was stronger internal community and communication, going back to having meetings, including all the student, staff, and directors. Event promotion, yes. It is so hard to get the word out. I know I send y'all stuff out and you guys send my stuff out. Thank goodness that we're helping each other out. Event promotion is difficult. Anybody else want to share verbally versus responding in the Menti? Oh, here we have another one. Better accountability of people within the space and stronger commitment to our students inside and outside the space. Collaboration and student staff who are passionate and motivated about the work they do and giving students more memories of CII having fun together with them to make the students remember more about CII. Yeah, I think when we get back from the pandemic, and I know we have some new staff coming in, you have a new vice chancellor, we'll be able to probably address some of these things or just make new plans to include some of the things you guys are putting on here. All right, anybody else for this question? All right, let's go to our next one. All right, this will be our last question. And this really is not a Menti one. This is more of a discussion. So would love it if everyone would unmic and everybody pick one of these questions that you have an opinion on. Because I know sometimes when we have lots of questions, some resonate with you and some don't. But I'd like everybody to maybe respond to one of these when you think about the big concept we've been talking about, socially responsible leadership. So let's see. How about I'll call on Alexandra first, and then Alexandra, we're going to play popcorn. You get to pick the next person until we've had everybody answer.
Alex, are you able to start? Maybe you should read off the questions. Some of us are
okay.
on the go. So.
Okay, there's 5 different questions. So first one is, how does being a socially responsible leader connect to your future career area or maybe a student organization you belong to? Second one is, what function or tasks do you execute that are socially responsible in nature at work? Third question, what responsibilities do you have that connect to the welfare of others? Fourth one is, what do you need to be aware of as a socially responsible leader? And the fifth one is, how do your decisions or actions affect the community around you? Let's see if I can, let me see if I can put them in the chat. Can you see the chat if you're on your phone?
I can't. I think I should, but you did read them out. So if you want to start, Alex, start us off.
Alex, one of those questions resonate with you, and I can go back and read it again for you before you answer if you can. Why don't we just do the first question for everybody? So how does being a socially responsible leader connect to your future career or a club that you're in? We'll just do that one question. How about, let's start with Judy since Alex isn't responding. So Judy, can you go first and then you can do popcorn and call the next person?
Yeah, yes. I
Thank
get
you.
to pick which, just the first question.
You can
Answer
do
the-
any of them since you can
Okay.
see them. And if you can't see them, I'll repeat that first question for everybody else.
Yeah, I like to answer, how do your decisions, actions affect the community around you? This is all through experience. And when it comes to decision making, I like to address certain topics with my officers and members. I like to have the members also contribute to what they like to voice out their needs, so that when it comes to planning, when I meet with the officers, we like to make sure we do some things to fulfill their needs, because we're doing this to serve our community. So taking action is such as, we're doing like a pageant. So with our ASA, we have so many talented and expressive, or anything that defines them as Asian Americans, or we also like to welcome other ethnicities too. Share the safe and empathy like space for us to just bring in this closeness and have this sense of comfortability and inclusion. So we do a lot of mix of like educational and also social, plus fun, anything like that within our community. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, it does. Great. So can you pick the next person?
Yes, Aldo.
Sure thing. I'm gonna actually jump to the last question. So it reads, how do your decisions slash actions affect the community around you? And I think for me, I think of just understanding that whatever you decide on or whatever decision that you make, it's going to have a reaction, whether that be positive, negative, neutral, and kind of just understanding that making that decision, you have to be okay with that. And the reality is, like, you're not going to be able to please everybody, but understanding or just weighing the consequences, the evidence that you have before making a decision and an action, to see, and hopefully, choosing the one that has the least amount of cost and it's the most amount of benefit. Reminds me of like science and like ethics and stuff. But yeah, that's how I kind of interpret that question.
Thank you. All right, you get to pick the next person.
Yeah, I am going to call on, let's see, I'm holding the space bar. Let me just, for one. Okay, I'm gonna call on Luis.
So I'm gonna go with question number 4. So what do you need to be aware as a socially responsible leader? And I was just thinking of all the aspects that you have to consider when you are in a leadership position. So I'm thinking of from like improving labor policies, making sure like you are reducing carbon footprint, you are volunteering, you are achieving equitable injustice and racially justice social workplace.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was just thinking of like many other things that you have to consider when you are in a leadership position. And those are just some of them that came to mind, because I think we need to improve on the conditions that people are working right now. And we should, as a leader, I think you also need to consider the well-being of your the people that you work around with, and you have to make sure that you are meeting their needs as well, because at the end of the day, the people who are working along with you are the are the whole they are the organization as a whole. And then I'll pick on.
And this is going to be our last person because we're running out of time. So
I'll pick on, let's see, Michelle.
Michelle, advise
Um,
us. We need to read the questions again.
okay, thank you. I think I can see it. I'm gonna choose the fourth one
Okay.
that says, what do you need to be aware of as a socially responsible leader? And I guess for that one, you just have to be aware that like you might not know everyone that you're talking to, so you have to be mindful of their experiences, even if you don't know what they are. And you just have to be, yeah, just be careful what you say, not to offend anyone, and offer a space where everyone feels comfortable sharing their experiences or whatever it is they have to say. And yeah.
I think that was great advice. Yeah, we really don't know everybody's life experiences. And if you're a stranger in the room, be thoughtful in how you communicate and ask good questions. And sometimes you just have to shut up and listen, and be an observer, and you learn a lot. So I'm going to wrap up there. I want to again encourage you, when you think of those 8 different C letter tasks that you need to learn as a leadership, again, consciousness of self, congruence, commitment, collaboration, common purpose, controversy with civility, citizenship, so you can create change. Pick one of those and think about this the rest of this spring. Are there other workshops I can go to? Are there books I could read about that concept? Can I have a conversation about that concept with somebody so I become more aware? Maybe ask feedback, like, how do you think I collaborate? Or, what do you think I value as a leader? And see if what you really value is something that other person perceives that you do from interacting with you. So, and again, I would invite you to consider joining the LEAP program. We'll offer it again in the fall. It's already running right now for the spring, but it's always offered fall and spring. It runs 11 weeks, and we've had nothing but 100% positive feedback on that program. So if you want to dig in deeper, we would love to have you in the program. So Natalia, thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much, Tirza, for coming in. We really appreciate this experience. Recording. Thank you again, Tirza, and
it was Aja that needs to be the host.
Aldo, ALDO.
It's Aldo. Okay, I thought you'd said Aja. Hold on a minute here. Let's see. Boop. Although it says you're a co-host, I'm trying to think. Trying to figure out how to remove me. I don't want to close the meeting when I go.
Right.
Actually, let me make Aja, and Aja, can you make Aldo? Because it's not letting me select for him.
Aja's on her phone.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me try one more time. Oh, finally it popped up because I closed it and reopened it. Okay. Aldo, you should be the host at this point.
Perfect. Yes, I do see that now. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks again. See you guys later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we just have a couple of